Guess what day it is today? Today is the day that we are going to finally start these videos showcasing some paint finishes and how to accomplish them. Because I'm going to show you how to do some clear coat finishes such as candy and a little bit of pre-shading before clear coat to make your colors really pop. What you are going to need for today's video, if you are going to attempt this as you're watching it: plastic spoons. However many, I'm only going to do a couple of finishes, but you'll get the idea. So we need some spoons. Then from the spoons, we also need some clear coat. Now today I'm using nothing more than acrylic Tamiya clears. These are very easy to come by, and basically this is mostly what I use in the majority of my kits. So you need a colored clear coat or a regular clear coat. You're going to need a metallic base, because I'm going to use that, any kind that you want to use. Today I'm using X31, which is titanium gold. Also, well, I'm going to use a color right here that you're going to see what kit I used it on after this. This was a custom red that I mixed. And then also, you're going to want some black, and you're going to want some gray. We're also going to use a red base, and then we're going to use that to pre-shade, and I'm going to show you a couple little tips with that. Today I'm going to be using acrylic Tamiya clears, as I mentioned before. So we've got 91% isopropyl alcohol to thin these, and the reason why I use 91%, it makes the clear coat dry a lot faster than it normally would, and it makes it flow very well. So I didn't have to go out and buy any of these expensive thinners and all this other kind of stuff. You don't have to either. Just some simple old 91% isopropyl alcohol works great. Get your spoons together, because the first thing that we're going to go over is the metallic base, and then we're going to apply a colored clear coat over it. Today I'm using my Badger 155 Anthem airbrush. My compressor, as you see here in the photo, is what I'm using. I have no pressure regulator on this other than what is built into the gun itself. I'm not going to get into a whole in-depth article about airbrushing. I'm assuming that you already know what you're doing when it comes to attempting airbrushing or anything like that. First things first, I've already pre-mixed all of my paints. The ratio that I use, I really just eye it, and that's using one of these smaller jars. This is a regular red X7. It's not a high gloss, it's not a flat, it's just a regular base. And this is what it looks like right when you open it up for the first time. All I do is take my alcohol and I pour in just enough. Let's see if I can put it up here without making a mess. I pour in just enough to take it right to the brim, just underneath the brim. That's how much alcohol I mix in a brand new jar of paint. I'm going to take my mixer here. This is another little Badger mixer. You can use any one. There's tons of these. IKEA has some that are like $1.50, $2. They're for stirring coffee, but you can use that. You just don't want to get a ton of bubbles. So I would suggest holding it at the base when you mix it to make it go slowly. I'm going to use the same premise with this here, and I'm only going to mix it for about maybe 15-20 seconds. I mean, I can mix it a bit longer than that, which would probably be ideal, but for brevity's sake and doing this video. Now, you don't want to over thin this, because if you do, it's going to be water and it's not going to stick well. It's going to be translucent, and in other words, it's going to be useless. So you want it to kind of drip off just like that. So if you look up here, you want the consistency to just drip very easily, kind of like milk, if you will. Not too thick, not too thin, but you see how it coats this very well, but it's still thin. So here we go. The red is already mixed, but like I said before, we're going to start with the gold base, the metallics. So what we're going to do is spray 3 of these spoons right now. One in the titanium gold metallic, the other in just the base red that I just mixed, and one in gunmetal. Let's get to it. Now again, I'm not using any pipettes for this. I kind of already know how much paint to use just to spray something simple. The first thing we're doing is just spraying a nice even coat on each spoon.
right, so now we got our 3 spoons painted. Our gold, gunmetal, and our base red. What we're gonna do now is do some pre-shading. Now I'm gonna show you some pre-shading with this semi-gloss black over the outer edges of this red-based spoon. Then what I'm gonna do is show you how you can pre-shade as well using metallic on metallic. So we're gonna use the gunmetal on the titanium gold. And that's gonna show you that as you're shifting the shading, or I should say as you're playing with the light, you're gonna get a really awesome color dynamic. First things first, semi-gloss, regular black paint over the edges to give a pre-shaded look to this red. Now when you're pre-shading, the whole purpose of the pre-shading is really to give some added depth, to make any shapes really pop. Since we have this one nice rounded base here, this spoon I should say, since it's rounded, we're going to accentuate the center by darkening the edges, which is going to make the lighter color look like it's popping out and the other parts fading back behind the shade. You don't want to go heavy at all. You're lightly going to go around the edges, darken them gradually. It's a little bit awkward for me to paint like this in the position I'm at, but I'm sure you'll get the idea. So now the next thing you would do with this is the top coat. Or you can even go as far as laying a coat over this very light to give another effect, which I'll show you now. So here is where that other red that I mixed a little while ago is going to come into play. This red is basically nothing more than black and red mixed together to a certain ratio to get this brick type of color. While I take this, pour a little bit in the cup here, what we're going to do is go very light with the top coat over this spoon. We're going to cover over the pre-shade black. And I'm going to do it very light, like I said, not full pressure, pulling back all on the gun, but just enough to cover the whole thing. And what you'll see is how it gives a more muted, more even effect to that spoon. So now you see that there is a nice shaded look to it, whereas the top coat is all this, with the base coat being the red. So next up what we're going to do is pre-shade with the gunmetal on this titanium gold. Same premise. We're just going to work the edges of this spoon in the gunmetal, giving a nice pre-shade. And again, you don't want to give a hard edge or a hard line, because if you do a hard line, it's not going to look that good. There we have a pre-shaded gold or metallic, using a metallic as the shading material. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do a couple of coats of the clear red over each of these. And that's what's going to give us our candy effects. And it's also going to bring out more vibrancy and depth in this pre-shaded spoon. Here now we're going to take our clear red. We're going to load up this gun a little bit more because the clear coat kind of goes a lot faster than the rest of the paint because it's translucent. First up, we're going to clear coat our metallic shaded spoon. Now when you're doing this, you're going to go lightly for the first coat. Very light pressure. Make sure you just get a nice tack coat that's even, like so. Once you have this tack coat, since we put the alcohol in, this paint is going to dry quickly. So in order to combat that, we're going to go with a medium pressure with our gun, with our spray, and we're going to keep it relatively close, and we're going to overlap. That's going to give it a nice uniform high gloss look. I'm going to try to do it at this awkward angle, but you'll get the idea. So now we give a nice amount of pressure, and we're going to let this spray out nice, even, and thick. And there is the first coat. Now, we could stop here at this first coat, and we've already got a really nice candy look. You could see that depth that the actual metallic gunmetal, using that as the shading base, gives this. So if you look head on, it's definitely shaded, but as you tilt it with the light in certain angles, that shading almost goes away. And that is how cool it is to use metallics for shading. It gives a very dynamic look. Now, if I want to darken this, make it even richer of a candy effect, I'll just go over it again. And basically, I can keep layering this as much as I want to get the desired color of red, or whatever color you use, or whatever tinted clear coat color you use. So now if I take my red, and we're just going to go over this gunmetal, you see how nice this red looks on the light metallic gold base. So if I take this one, give a nice quick pass, initial coat, and now go over it nice and thick, not too much to where it's dripping, but you want to move the airbrush. You don't want to let it sit in one spot, because if you let it sit in one spot, you're going to get drips. Look at how beautiful that is now. I don't even have to explain that. You just see how pretty that is. Now here's the kicker. With the base and no metallic, we can still get fantastic depth just by using the same colored clear coat as whatever the original base color is, which is, in this case, red, followed by a custom mixed red on top. So if we use the clear, red clear, we do our quick little pass, and now heavy to medium, while keeping that airbrush moving at a nice pace. Now we have created a very even candy, non-metallic base red. All right, now I'm going to shift the lights around so this way you can get the best look of how dynamic these colors are. Here is the gold with the metallic gunmetal pre-shade. Here is the gunmetal with no pre-shading, just the gunmetal with the nice clear coat, top coat. And here is the non-metallic with one of my dog's hairs in it. That's nice. The non-metallic base red. If you clear coat these with the techniques that were just shown, you too will get a nice glossy, even finish. You can get this same effect by using any other color tinted clear coat that you find. I'm going to do half of this spoon with orange and the other half with yellow. And I'm going to try to give a nice gradient candy finish over a metallic base. We're going to start with the lighter color first and then the darker color afterward in this application. So first off, yellow base coat over the gold metallic base. And there you go. You got a candy yellow, just like that. So now we load up with the orange. What I'm going to do is go a little heavier down here and then lighten up. Instead of holding the spoon like this, I'm going to tilt it at an angle, and that's going to give a gradient effect as we go through. If I go down here, lightly go over, and then tilt that spoon a bit, you can see I'm not getting a hard line. Instead, we're going to now lay it on thick, go down over here, and as we get to the edge, we're just going to lightly mist it. Depending on how much I want my fade point to go, I basically make it darker down here, lighten up, and just mist it. Carry it up higher. And the higher I carry it up, obviously, the more the fade point is going to go. Now, you may be saying to yourself, Jared, what the heck did you just do? Because there's no more clear gloss. All that overspray just went over this nice clear yellow that you did. That's not a problem, because we are going to take our regular gloss, not that semi, we're going to take our regular clear gloss, and we're going to do the whole thing, a top coat of the regular gloss clear, and that's going to even this entire thing out. So I'm going to clean this, and then we're going to spray this. So same premise as with the candies. Going to give a nice, even, thick coat. There is your even candied gradient clear coat finish. So you may be saying to yourself right now, this is all cool, but these are spoons. How do I actually apply this to part of my model kit that I'm working on? Well, I'm going to show you using this shoulder piece from a mega size Zaku. We're going to pre-shade it and we're going to candy coat it. Let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get out your little cat scratch thing. You can buy these at Walmart, and also the paint sticks. I made these paint sticks in a previous video. You can take a look at that. I'll put the link down below in the description. But what we're going to do with this piece here is spray it with some titanium gold as the base, and then we're going to pre-shade with the gunmetal. Let's do the gold base first. So after we've gotten our titanium gold base down, now what we're going to do is accentuate all the edges of this. What I'm going to do now is go over this whole thing with clear red, and we're going to apply the same effect we saw on a spoon on an actual piece itself from a model kit. Remember, we just do our light coat over everything first. Make sure it's even, just to give the paint a good means to tack on. And now we hit it with our nice medium to heavy strokes. Now when you're doing big pieces like this, it's best to actually thin the paint out less with the alcohol, because what that will do is allow you to work a little bit slower before the paint dries. See, I'm having to work at a relatively quick pace here to make sure that everything is going to play nice, even out, give a nice shine. And there you go. There is a candy paint job on this shoulder piece. Notice how it's all even. There's no overspray. It's all one nice even gloss. Now, I may have made this look fairly easy. That's because I've been doing this for many years. But it's not to say you too cannot do this. I'm pretty sure you can do this if you just give it a couple of tries. So if you fail first, don't be upset. Keep going with it. You will eventually get this type of look on your kits.
But now that we're at the end, you're wondering, what does this look like on a finished kit? Well, I was commissioned to do this amazing Red Warrior Master Grade a little while ago, and I just did this spoon right here, the finish, the non-metallic base, on this Red Warrior right here. So hopefully all of this has helped you out. You got to see all the various finishes on the spoons, you got to see what it looked like on the actual shoulder piece, as well as on a finished kit itself. Remember, there's multiple ways to get certain finishes. This is the way that worked for me, and I hope it works for you. What I would like to do is see all the finishes that you've tried from this video. Send me a direct message on Instagram with the pictures of your attempts at doing this. I would love to see the progress that you make in your journey in painting and doing custom finishes. Now, one thing I want to make clear moving forward in this channel, I do a lot of other things other than just painting and Gundam kits. I will be featuring this mostly, however, I would get bored and this channel would get pretty stagnant after a while with just the same stuff over and over. So please keep that in mind. You might see different things, but I will always try to upload another Gundam video or another video that's regarded to stuff like this on the same week that I upload something that has nothing to do with this. So basically, I'm going to keep you all who came here for this, but also expand your knowledge of certain things that you may not know about or you may not really appreciate right now at the moment. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload any new videos. With that, I would like to say, bye!